Welcome to the SnoWest Show. I'm Ryan Harris. No big intro on this one.
No.
But we do have the fancy wall.
We're moving up.
It's a little over the top for us, but we're out here. Where are we? We're just outside Montreal, Quebec.
Yeah.
Canada.
Close
Close to Valcourt, close to
Homo Skidoo.
We have Homo Skidoo. We came out a couple days ago and rode. Yesterday we rode here in Quebec.
Yep.
First time ever.
First time
you
ever
come
in
to Canada
Canada
all the time.
Yeah, I come to Quebec all the time.
So this is a regular
every other
adventure.
weekend. Yeah.
No, so we rode some new trail stuff yesterday, which was like out of our element, but it was fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, but we rode the deep snow stuff in Island Park, Idaho, which is kind of our backyard, where we do most of our testing. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
So we were able to see these 25 Skidoos, the Summit Neo, the Summit X, the Summit X with Expert, and the Free Ride. So that's what we rode in the park, right?
Yeah.
Rode the pre-production stuff with all the coloring, and rode some of the engineering units that they've been using for development. Let's start off with, where do you want to start? Summit X?
Sure.
All right. So Summit X for 2025 has two small changes. And what was that? Lighter?
The seat is 1 inch shorter.
Shorter seat, shorter mountain seat.
And then lighter shocks on the front.
Yeah, just front shocks. So lighter front shocks. And
You're saving a pound.
Yeah. A shorter seat and lighter shocks saves 1 pound on the Summit X, which, you know, a pound is a pound. So
Right.
if they're going in the right direction, at least it's the right direction.
Yeah.
The Summit Expert, though, gained 2 pounds.
2 pounds.
Because it now has the same piggyback shocks. Well, not the same piggyback shocks, but it has KYB piggyback shocks. So higher shock volume, higher capacity.
Yep.
And what did you think of the Expert with the piggyback shocks?
I always like the piggyback shocks.
Yeah.
You know, you can feel a difference, especially in the snow we were in that day. I mean, we had some new snow, but you could still feel the old tracks underneath.
Yeah.
So, and then the trail was rough, of course, but it's a good change. I think it's good.
And then so there's two other ones. The Free Ride. So the change for the 2025 Free Ride is it now has the rack steering, something that they came out with last year on the MXZ. And the Renegade, and I think the Backcountry has it as well.
Yes, I think
So we rode it. I don't remember what ride that was. But anyway, we rode it. We tried this rack steering setup, and I got off it and I was like, why don't you put that on the summits? Because it was so much better on the trail. It just tracks straighter, especially through the bumps. Like, not that we're trying to make these things better on the trail, but it made it a better experience, like getting to the mountain.
Yeah, and you could definitely tell the difference because we had last year's model, right?
Yeah.
The non-rack.
Yeah, we had the 2024.
So we're able to swap, and it's crazy how much you can tell on a bumpy trail, how much better it handles.
Yeah. So that's the major change on the Free Ride is the move to rack steering system. That adds what, a pound? About a pound, just because the mechanism is there's more to the rack system than the traditional Summit steering system, which is more simplistic. And then that's the big change for the Free Ride. The Summit Neo, the Neo Plus, is bumped up to 85 horsepower, so it's basically just the full 600 AFI package without the detuned pipe.
But this Neo is still the 55 horsepower.
Yes.
And they did away with the 45 horsepower.
Yeah. Right. So the Neo bumps up to 55 horsepower, replacing what the Neo Plus was the last 2 years, and the new Neo Plus is now 85 horsepower.
Yep.
So, and that was fun. That was a fun little sled.
Yeah.
Like that's a good improvement there because the Neo and the Neo Plus were a little too slow.
A little underpowered.
The package was good for like kids, but for beginner riders getting on it, almost wasn't enough to get them from getting in more trouble.
Yeah.
You know, they needed a little more power. So
the
Neo Plus is a good move, I think. And then, so for deep snow sleds, they had a couple other updates. Drivers.
I think that's a good one. Bigger driver, bigger the rise on the actual, what do you call it, the teeth, I guess.
Yeah.
The drive is a little taller.
Yeah. So still 3.5 inch pitch, but they've improved the drive sprocket so that there's better engagement, and where as it comes around, it contacts the track, engages the track, and then releases from the track. It's quieter, it's smoother, reduces vibration, and you can run a track looser now without ratcheting. So that's always a good move.
Yeah, and you can buy the sprocket separate.
Yeah.
And update your
drive shaft assembly anymore.
Yeah, and you can update all your Gen 4 from 2017 and up. You don't have to buy the whole shaft, right? Just the sprocket.
Right. So the sprocket, as they were showing us, where the sprocket mounts to the shaft, that the base of the sprocket is wider.
Yep.
So there's more surface area contact there, so you're less likely to spin the sprocket on the shaft.
Yeah.
But that still is the break point.
Right.
Like if something's going to fail, that's what they want to fail, is the sprocket on the shaft.
Yeah.
And then the tooth of the sprocket is a little bit wider and taller, like you're saying. So that's that new assembly. And then the ski. So they took the mountain ski that was on the Summit and the free ride, and they changed the profile of the tail of the ski. Cut, if you go back, 15, 16 years when everybody was cutting that outside tail edge of the ski.
Yep.
It's kind of the same principle there. They found that if they took that, and we'll show you when we get out to the showroom. Hopefully we'll have the skis and everything. We just wanted to throw this out there like right when the reveal happens. But they cut the edge of the tail of the ski so it's a little narrower, so that as you're side hilling, and you're either holding your handlebars straight or you're slightly counter steered.
Right.
That's what you tend to do on a side hill, right? And so you're forcing the tail end of the ski into the slope of the hill. And every time you would cross an old track or hit something hard, or maybe crossing a log or something, the material on the tail end of the ski would give you a lot of rider feedback. Force the handlebars. So trimming that down and making that a little bit narrower reduces that rider feedback and helps the sled stay straight rather than kind of want to kick out.
Yep.
Right? Is that the general principle?
Yeah, that's what I got out of it. Yep.
And so that ski update, as far as you remember,
I think it's all mountain sleds, right?
Free Rides, Expert, and Summit X.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
All 3 mountain sleds.
All right. And
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was it.
Okay. So go back to Summit X and Expert. What they do on the colors there?
So this year they've got navy blue, and then a gray, and I can't remember what they call the gray.
Monument.
Monument gray.
Monument gray.
And then black. Black.
Well, the free ride, you can get flare yellow or black.
Or black, yep.
And then
The other 3, or the Expert and X.
Expert and X, you can get in the same colors.
Blue, gray, or black.
Can you see with the black?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
For sure.
So 3 colors on those, and they did that for a reason, right?
Yeah, and the reason was because they feel like some people bought a sled for a certain color. So this year you can pick, if you want an Expert, you can get it in black, blue, or the gray. So if you want the Expert, you can get whatever color you want.
Yeah, so people that would probably enjoy a Summit X more were buying the Expert because it looked cooler.
Right. Yeah.
Had different colors or whatever.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a hard time telling the X and the Expert apart anymore because they look the exact same.
Yeah, and the only branding, right, is in the front, right behind the bumper, on the nose cone.
Yeah, like 2 inches wide.
Yeah, and then up by the dash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it'll say Expert or X.
Yeah. And if you're looking one like brand new, if it has hand guards, it's an Expert.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So you can tell that way, but a lot of people on their Experts take the hand guards off.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna have a hard time telling what's what, but that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Is you're it's like an F-150, Lariat versus a Platinum or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to make it look the same, but if you buy this package, you get the benefits, but it doesn't look completely different.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. And so we got out and we were able to ride these, and luckily it had just snowed, so we actually had some powder, some good snow, especially compared to the week before.
Yeah, or the winter before.
Yeah, the winter before. Yeah, so winter return. So it was a legit ride, and then it only got better from there. And we had NA 850X and Expert, and Turbo R X and Expert, and Freeride Turbo R. We didn't have an NA Turbo R, or Freeride, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so we had a Freeride 146 in the flare yellow.
And back to the color, the Freeride, you can get flare yellow or black.
Yeah. So back to black. Just that neon mint was a little too controversial, they say. I thought it was a great looking sled.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was a good looking sled. But that's a one and done color, and maybe the flare yellow is too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So the Freeride, we rode the 146 Turbo R, and let's start at the X, because the X is always a really good sled. It's a good kind of do-it-all sled, and it's probably the easiest to initiate. I wouldn't say the most agile, because I don't think it is.
Right.
But
it's not the T-motion, right?
Yeah, T-motion, flex edge track. So easiest to initiate still and throw around. But to me, it's almost like it's like you're riding you're in a watercraft. You're on like a really tippy watercraft, and there's no defined edge to X. It's really easy to get it to throw on its side, but there's not like a hard defined edge. Yeah. Which that principle right there is probably appealing to a lot of people, especially if you're coming from other brands and you feel like that Summit X is pretty easy to roll over. But I like the X. Yeah,
I enjoyed it more that day for some reason, but maybe it was the snow conditions too. But that's a good way to put it on a watercraft.
Yeah, and it might have been the snow conditions, because that's where the X kind of feels lighter. It is lighter. It's probably 10 pounds lighter than an Expert. Yeah. But in that kind of where we had a crust with 10, 12 inches of new snow on top, you tend to feel the weight of the sled more when you're not sinking in as much. Yeah. And so the X was a good setup. Yeah. So then from the X, you go up to the Expert, and you get a non-flex, it's still T-motion XT. XT, yeah. They need to change that name, but so you get a rear suspension that doesn't pivot laterally anymore. Right. And you get a non-flex edge track. So the fiberglass rods go full width on the track. Yep. Otherwise, it's pretty similar. Yeah. What do you feel going from X to Expert?
The Expert, I feel like once you get on its side, I feel like it's easier to hold. It's not as playful. I don't know if it's that track kind of not flexing and just biting in more. I've always liked the Expert better. Not that I haven't been a fan of the T-motion, but I've never, maybe been able to grasp the playfulness of it. I feel like it rolls maybe too easy and then don't hold. But I don't know, I just like that Expert, the way they've got it set up. That XT suspension and the track, I think everything works good. I mean, it's still easy to roll over. I think it holds better. Yeah. Through tight trees and stuff.
I agree, yeah. So it's got more of a defined edge. So it, and these two sleds, the X and the Expert, as well as the Edge, have 34-inch ski stands. Yep. So they're the narrow ones. And then you go to a Freeride that has a 36. Yeah. So the Expert to me is all the benefits of the narrow front end, but you have an edge. Like you have a pretty defined edge. Yeah. So it's easy to initiate, not as easy as the X. Right. You can lay it over it's super easy. Yeah. It's one that I would say is agile.
Yeah, I agree.
Agile and predictable. I guess that's the difference for me between the X and the Expert, is it's predictable. It's more predictable. Yeah. And it probably is not as easy to initiate a roll on the Expert as it is the X. Right. But it comes over as far as you want and it stays there. It'll hold that. And to me that helps just hold lines and pick lines and be able to get through the trees where you want to go better.
You almost tend to override the X a little, I feel like. Yeah. Because
I'm sure the more time you spend on an X, like true. It's the same with any sled. Like if you take a Polaris guy and throw him on a Skidoo, what's he gonna do?
He's gonna hate it.
I hate it because I can't ride it. Yeah. Take a Skidoo guy and throw him on a Polaris, with the same thing. Yeah. Can't do it. But if anybody gets on any sled for long enough, they'll adapt to it. Right. And so the same is true of like going from the expert to the X. Like,
yeah, that's true.
We'll override it initially, but you'll adapt to it, and then it becomes very easy to ride and more predictable. But it'll just never have that defined edge because it has the flex suspension and flex edge track.
Yeah, which I think is cool that they can have them few of changes and have that much different of a sled.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun to, it's kind of fun for us to go test out all this stuff and feel that, then find changes when some guy that just goes buys a sled never gets that chance because they're either buying the expert or the X.
Well, yeah, and
so it's kind of fun.
Yeah, people are making a buying decision and buying a $22,000 snowmobile based on, a 30-second or a 3-minute rip in a meadow on a buddy sled.
Yep.
And unfortunately, in my opinion, I think people, brand loyalty is kind of a fallacy to me, and it's derived because of that, like right there.
For sure.
Whatever you bought, you get used to.
And it's the best sled out there.
It's the best sled out there, and then because you're not taking long enough to go ride something else and really adapt to what it's capable of, it's just crap.
Yep.
So you never leave what you originally bought.
Yeah, and I've been there.
You are that.
I am that.
You're
certain days I am that.
No, we all are that though.
Yeah.
The beginning of the year, whatever where we have a test fleet, whatever we start out riding.
That's what we love.
You're used to that, and then the next sled you ride.
Yep.
You're comparing like, well, it's not as good as the one I was started on.
Yeah.
You got to get back in that routine of bouncing from machine to machine.
Yep. Almost clearing your mind.
Yeah, and then picking up, like clear the palette and pick up on the little nuances again. So freeride, let's talk about freeride for a second.
Okay.
Rack steering. So I started out on the 2024, the Neo Mint, and rode that in on the bumpy trail.
Okay.
And then we stopped on the bumpy trail before we hit the mountain. And I got on the 25 with the rack steering. 146 turbo, both of them were 146 turbos. So the only difference, we got the drive shaft in the drivers, and the ski is different, but that's not really coming into effect on the trail.
Right.
So we're just talking about the rack steering system.
Rack steering.
And the rack steering on the bumpy crap, on those single track mobile trails, the kind of crap where on the way into the mountain or on the way out of the mountain, you're just sitting there thinking every decision in your life that led you to becoming a snowmobiler. What am I doing on this single track trail?
Yeah.
But it makes that stuff fun almost.
Yeah.
And you can really blitz that stuff. The free ride was by far, the 24 free ride was by far the best sled in moguls and on a crappy single track go trail going in.
For sure.
Best skidoo I've ever ridden.
Yeah.
And like it was the first one where I feel like, okay, I can go as fast as I want on this. I can blitz this stuff. I enjoy this.
Yep.
I look forward to this. I'm not dreading this part of the ride.
Yeah.
And so the 25 got even better because now that rack steering system doesn't deflect sight. Especially when you're on that mogul stuff and you're turning, and it tends to bounce you out of the corner, high-sided, and the rack steering kind of eliminates that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it does that.
I don't know, it adapts to the trail or something, and I don't feel like you've got as much, I guess you could call it flex or play in the steering. It seems to hold, it's kind of like when you're siding, it kind of holds that line on the trail, I guess, where you want to go. So it's not dancing.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost felt dampened. Like steering dampening a little bit. Not quite as much rider feedback. The bumps aren't coming back to your hands quite as bad.
Yeah.
And you can maintain your line, and like I said, you're not just getting bounced off the trail.
Yeah.
And so you can go a little bit faster, and you can blitz that stuff a little harder.
Yep.
And you have a little more confidence that the sled's going to stay where you want it.
Yeah.
But that's in the rough stuff.
Right.
So then you get up on the mountain and climbing and snow, and it had a little bit different feel to it.
Almost like a resistance.
Yeah,
I feel like.
So that dampening feel. And I think I need to ride it again in deeper snow.
Yeah, I agree.
Really give a longer evaluation in deep snow.
Yeah.
You feel what that feels like, but there is a slight difference. I don't know if somebody that rode a 24 and sits all summer, picks up their 25 and rides it is going to pick up on
Probably
the
not.
difference?
Yeah, I think you gotta have both sleds there, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Coming off the 24 and then onto that. That's where I felt it the most, but there is definitely a different feel in the trees, which like I say, I think we need more time on it to really give it an A or an F, right?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, for the most part, it wasn't really a down. It was one of those things where we were talking about like okay, this is a slightly different feel. Need a little bit of time to adapt to it.
yeah,
And I don't think there's any negative aspect to it in the mountains.
right.
It's definitely better everywhere else.
Yep.
So if you're looking at the deep snow lineup and you're like, should I get an X? Should I get an expert? Should I get a free ride? Well, man, everything I do just has a ton of bumps. I love jumping stuff. I love trying to double the moguls. I love jumping off
Cornices,
crosses
rocks,
and stuff. You know, Landon Pavon style. Like
Yeah.
he's here with us. Like
yeah,
if you're that type of rider, free ride
ride
all day long.
all day long.
And the rack steering system is just going to make everything you do better.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And the track. Track is
Yeah, because you got a 15 wide track,
15 wide.
full rod width, and the non-flex rear suspension.
Mm-hmm.
So it's rigid. It's probably, of those three, feels the most like a Polaris, would you say?
Yeah, I would think so.
So if you're coming from a Cat or a Polaris, you know, Cat you can't really say because the Alpha has its own feel, but if you're coming off a Polaris and you're like, I want to feel at home, but I want to try this Skidoo,
Definitely free ride.
free ride is probably the closest feel.
Yep.
Because it has the wider 36-inch front end,
Yep.
which is what the Polaris runs. 15-inch wide track, so yeah. So up in the deep snow, rack steering feels slightly different, but definitely no downside to it,
Yeah.
as far as I can tell. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, did you get a chance to get on the Summit Neo?
I don't think I did, which I'm kind of bummed.
I rode it for a minute. And
Yeah.
It's definitely got, I mean,
And
it's
that's the one
it's
that has the
legit
bigger
600.
horsepower,
Yeah,
right?
it's the 85 horsepower.
Yeah.
So definitely just felt like a 600, but a smaller package.
Right.
And really playful. Like we've had the Neo Plus for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
My daughters ride it. My wife rides it. And it's a great sled for that. And my daughter's to the point where I got a 12-year-old, and she's taller like me, and she's to the point where she'd rather be on a big sled.
Oh, okay.
But the Neo Plus is what she needs to be on.
Yeah, the 85.
Now that it's the 85, she'll love it because
Yeah.
that's what she was ready for. Was a little more power.
Yeah. And I feel like the price point on it's decent, right?
Yeah.
Compared to some other competition.
Yeah, you're still sub 10 grand, so
Yeah.
for a brand new sled.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. All right.
The other thing, I mean, it's not much, and I never did feel it, but aren't the risers a little shorter on all mounts?
Yeah, 120s. They're all 120s. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
not a big change.
Well, it used to be the X was a little bit taller, like a 130,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe was the free ride also a 130, and the Expert was 120.
Maybe.
Something along those lines. You would think we know of all people. That would be our job to know, but
Right.
yeah, you're right. 120 across the board there.
Yep.
Just real quick, let's touch on the crossover and the trail stuff that we rode yesterday. I mean, we're not trail experts by
Right.
any means, but
That was fun.
yeah, it was fun.
Riding at sea level,
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
you know, 850, and then you jump on the 850 Turbo R.
And an 850 yesterday at sea level felt like the Turbo R back home.
I agree.
Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like so much power,
Yeah.
and lighter. So now you have all that power, but you're 20 pounds lighter.
Yep.
And the responsiveness was just like you just hammer the throttle.
Yeah. I think you were saying that you were just giggling under your helmet yesterday.
I was just laughing the whole thing ride.
Yeah, it was
It's like
fun.
a Quentin Tarantino movie in my head. But it was fun because it's, you know, if you're a mountain rider and you haven't been on trail sleds, like they work differently. Like mountain sled suspension is designed for primarily to get on top of the snow, not trench.
Yeah.
That's what a rear suspension exists for, is to get on top of the snow and not get you stuck.
Yep.
And then a little bit of bump absorption. Trail sleds is all about bumps, all about weight transfer control and bumps.
Yeah.
So if you smash the throttle on a backcountry or an MXZ, you'll feel that sled go back and sit, but then it hits the coupler blocks and it just, all the weight goes back and then it just holds.
Yeah.
So you feel like it's the difference between packing the skis and wheeling.
For sure.
Like mountain sleds wheelie to the point where you can wheelie over.
Right.
And these trail sleds just pack the skis.
Yeah.
They lift them off the ground,
Yep.
and that's it. And then you're on the
Yeah.
rear suspension, you just go.
That was pretty cool to feel. Because, back in the day it was the old XLTs and the
Yeah.
powder specials and stuff, but
What are you, 60?
dang near getting there.
Yeah. No.
But no, that was cool to feel that suspension work. Because, that was fun. Some tight trails, some holes here and there that just absorb. So it's fun.
So we rode that the 43-inch wide RAS RX front end. And
Yep.
43 inches wide. Like we're used to
wild.
34 and 36, so that is wide. Like
Yeah.
that's almost a foot wider.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were talking about like chassis roll, like on cornering chassis roll. Like that's all mountain sleds do is roll. Like you can't
That's
go into a
funny.
corner on a mountain sled.
Without rolling.
And I mean, you're doing everything you can if you're racing down the trail going fast, just trying to get somewhere. You're using everything you can just to keep it from rolling all the way over on you.
Yep.
But you get on these 43-inch wide trail sleds, and
Yeah.
you can be just on the gas flying and just turn the handlebars, and the sled just goes around the corner
Yeah.
like it's on rails.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It was fun.
It's a fun experience.
You tried the launch control on the MXZ Turbo R, right?
Yeah, and I don't know where I've been, but I guess I haven't been around the snowcross much, but I don't even know if I knew that existed. Shame on me, but that was
It's been out for a while on snowcross.
Yeah.
And it came out last year on that sled. And Cat and Polaris have all had it. Stu's had it on race equipment
Yeah.
for a while.
the trail was kind of slick, so I didn't really get the initial, takeoff, but that's a pretty cool feature.
Yeah.
I want that on my mountainslide.
Yeah. So if you're just drag racing your buddies all the time, I don't know. I'm assuming. I'm trying to figure out where they use that,
Yeah,
because what would we use it for back home?
just for fun, I think.
But if you're just drag racing your buddies and you have that,
Yeah.
that's pretty fun.
Can you imagine on a mountainslide though? You're in a hole, and you need that
would
shot.
just be in a bigger hole, Bruce. Like you would go from a 4-foot trench to a 5-foot trench.
That's true.
That's all you're gonna do.
It's true in a matter of a second.
No, but it is cool though,
Yeah.
and it's all just tech. It's not like added weight or anything.
Yeah.
So maybe we should push for that.
We should.
We should. Yeah.
Let's try it today.
All right. Let's see if we can get launch control out on the Turbo R next year.
There we go. Perfect.
All right. Anything else on the trail ride yesterday?
No, I mean they had some different sleds there, that they wanted us to bounce back and forth. That one you were talking about, the 43-inch wide. Last year's model was 39. Is that right? Didn't they go wider this year?
Yeah, they went
Shock
from,
angle.
yeah, like the backcountry. I don't know about the MXZ, but the backcountry, which is like the crossover,
Yeah.
like what a mountain sled used to be 10, 15
Yeah.
years ago. That was 39. Now there is a 43-inch version as well.
Yeah.
Both.
So you could kind of tell, that 43, what they're shooting for is less roll. Like I say, we're no trail experts, but you could tell
Yeah.
going from the 39 to 43.
Yeah. Well, you can go on the website and check out the trail sleds.
Yep.
You're going to see more from us. A couple other updates on 25s. The 10.25-inch touchscreen now has embedded map feature. And on your 23 and 24, you can buy the GPS plug-in
Yep.
hardware, and then you can go on and you can download maps.
Yes.
So now you have offline map access.
Yep. Which is cool.
You still can't see other riders on the screen,
Right.
but now you have maps that you don't have to plug your phone in to use that screen anymore.
And I think they come downloaded, right? With all the Idaho, Montana, Wyoming maps?
Oh, do they? Or did they just have them for us that day?
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah.
We'll find more out.
All right. I think that's everything. So we're going to go do the global product reveal. We'll have Landon Pavon on later on today. And then social media. I don't know when we'll get this released. Maybe we'll try to get this up as soon as we can. But check us out, snowwest.com, SnoWest Instagram. Bruce is on Instagram, Facebook, and Landon Pavon. Check him out, LJP116 on Instagram.
It's a good dude.
Yeah, it's fun, dude. So he was our VIP contest winner. So he's out here in Quebec with us. He's outside somewhere. We'll have him on later.
Cool.
All right.
All right.